I'm about to ship it back. Hold on. That's how I wanted to start the video, but I kind of changed my mind, so let's get into it. What's going on, everyone? My name is Charlie. I'm a videographer here in Miami Beach, Florida, and today I wanted to talk about my new purchase, the Lumix S12, which is a great camera, don't get me wrong, but like I was saying at the beginning of the video, I was thinking about shipping it back. I changed my mind for a number of reasons. Number one, because it's such a great camera. We're gonna go over it, but I can explain you why I wanted to return it. Let's start with the good things about this camera. This is one of the best content creation tool that I had in my hands. I own the FX3, Sony FX3. I own the Sony A1 that I'm recording with. I owned a bunch of little cameras. I owned a couple of Lumix camera through the years, the S1, the S5II, but I've been a Sony guy forever. I've owned from the X6000 to the FX6, and now I slimmed down to the Sony A1 and the FX3, which is more than fine for what I do, right? But I wanted to try something a little different. So when Lumix came out and announced that the S12 would be able to shoot 5.1K at 60 frames per second in open gate, it was just a dream come true for me. So placed my pre-order, got the camera, used it on a couple of non-paid gigs to test it out. I was very impressed by the camera. This camera is going to replace my FX3 today, right? But I ran into a couple of reviews online. Most of those reviews were mentioning the overheating problems that this camera suffers, and it does suffer from overheating. I'm a YouTuber now, and I decided to run a couple of tests on my own. I didn't want to bring this camera on a wedding and leave it on a tripod and realize that this camera will fail. So I decided to create a scenario that would make sense to what I do. I put the camera in 4K 24 frames per second, left it outside on the tripod for a number of minutes, and to be honest, it was fairly disappointing. You know why? Because I had this FX3 sitting on the tripod right next to it, shooting 4K 60 frames per second for more than an hour. The camera shut off when the battery died. No overheating warning, not whatsoever. I believe the fan was on auto low or whatever, but I didn't have to change anything on this camera, and it's just a beast, really. I understand that the codec that this camera is recording and the file size and the resolution are maybe smaller, but honestly, for a wedding, for example, I don't need much more than that. But still, I picked up the S12, so I wanted to push it a little bit. I ran a bunch of tests with this. I shot 5.1K 60 just for the fun of it. This camera lasted for 10 minutes, maybe, under the sun. I shot 4K 60, same thing. I shot 4K 24 frames per second, which is what any of my cameras could do without problem, and this camera still overheated. On the S12, I'm actually running right now at 4K 24 after that the 5.1K open gate 60 frames per second test kind of failed after 10 minutes. So after 10 minutes. So let's see. I'm anxious, honestly, because if the camera overheats again, shooting on the SD card under the sun, I'll be pissed. And actually, as I say that, the overheating warning just turned on. It's been 10 minutes. I'm shooting 4K 24p 95 degrees outdoors. I let the camera rest for about 30 minutes under the AC, so I don't know. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong on those tests. I'm trying to be as honest, as objective as possible, but internal battery, SD card, if I cannot record this way, this camera is pretty useless, to be very honest. Maybe I'm just disappointed right now, but it's kind of crazy that this camera would do that. This camera has been going on forever. 1 hour 18 minutes 55 seconds. The camera is about to die because of the battery, so I'm just going to stop the recording right now. And the S12 still has the overheat warning 11 minutes into a 4K clip. This is kind of crazy. Okay, so yeah, 12 minutes, about 12 minutes, maybe 13 minutes, let's say 15 minutes. 15 minutes under the sun, this camera overheated. I'm pissed. My FX3 has been fine right next to it for more than an hour. I was so disappointed, so that's why I started the video like I did. I was about to ship this camera back, but I took my time, I thought about it. I'm not selling my FX3. The FX3 is still gonna be my main camera, so the S12 could be my fun content creation type of camera, right? So I decided to bring the camera to a couple of paid gigs, and I tested the camera. I tested it out, knowing that I had my FX3 as a backup. I could just run a couple of tests in front of the client and see how it goes, right? And honestly, I was surprised how the camera performs so well. I've been shooting 10 events with it, and the camera hasn't failed me yet. Let's be hopeful that it will never fail. And honestly, I don't see why it would. Knowing that I cannot have this camera sitting under the sun during a ceremony or during a wedding ceremony, that already puts me at ease, and I know that I cannot really get rid of my FX3, which wasn't really the goal. But eventually I would have switched to Lumix if the S12 was the camera I thought it was. Unfortunately, it's not, but it's still not a bad thing. The biggest reason I bought this camera was to shoot open gate 5.1K at 60 frames per second, which is mind-blowing for me because this is a photo camera. This camera takes fantastic photos. It's at least on par with the Sony A7III, A7IV, which is more than fine for photos. Now on the video side, it's probably better than the FX3 in a lot of sense. Bear with me. The FX3 is probably the best camera that I ever owned, that I ever operated. I operated a bunch of Canon cinema cameras, the FX6, Sony FX6, but FX3 is just the camera that delivers all the time. It's so small and compact. If it's anywhere, I can use the Sony E-mount system. Is just fantastic. I have a bunch of glass that I can use with it. So yeah, great little camera. But like I said, I wanted to try something a little different, and I wanted a camera that could shoot photos as well. And the open gate is just out of this world. And bonus, I have an anamorphic lens, and I'm probably gonna order more now. And anamorphic on this is just so much better than the 16:9 crop. So am I keeping it? Yes, absolutely. I would definitely keep this camera. Maybe I didn't do my due diligence and wait for real people to use the camera on the field and see how it perform. But to be honest, it's not an issue. And now that I decided to keep it, to be honest, I don't regret my choice whatsoever. This is just great. This is just perfect for what I do, which is capturing events, sometimes content creation for smaller creators, capturing 16:9 and 9:16. So with the open gate format, this is just made my life so much easier. But there's also one more thing that I absolutely want to talk about. The stabilization on this camera is just out of this world. I mentioned that I'm using Sony, right? I don't feel comfortable shooting handheld with any of the Sony cameras that I've ever used. Ever. Really. It's not that good, really. And you can rig it out however you want. There's still jitters that I don't feel are natural or attractive, right? This camera has several modes, and the cropless one is fantastic. It's clearly an handheld look that you will get with a cropless, and I really like it. I really love it. But also you can push it. You can push it to standard, and is not as good as the boost one, where it's pretty good. And then there's the boost IS, which is like the top of the line stabilization. Gimbal I'm not gonna go that far, but it's pretty good. And my gimbal is sitting somewhere here. I'm still gonna use it regardless. So when I need it, but I know that I can handheld this camera anytime, and it's just a relief. So not carrying the gimbal 100% of the time is just, it's good. It's good for my little arms. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna finish the video here. I wanted to touch base. I wanted to share my thoughts on this camera that is absolutely fantastic. I wanted to share my perspective from someone that bought it, someone that don't have any skin in Sony versus Lumix versus Canon. Canon just came up with a new camera today. Conversation. Just wanted to share the honest opinion and review from someone that actually used and made money with this camera. So stay tuned, and I'll probably come up with more content about this camera and about what I do as well. So if you like that, hit the like button, subscribe, and let me know if you have any questions or anything that you want to know, or any subject that you want me to discuss in the next video. Till then, choose.